Catch your reflection in a shop window today. Don't fix your hair first. Just look for one honest second before you have time to arrange anything about your expression or your posture. If the woman looking back seems to be leaning slightly forward, weighed down on one side, moving a little smaller than she feels inside, that's not age doing that to you. That's 6 habits, and every single one of them is fixable by tonight. Here's the uncomfortable part. Not one of these 6 things is about your face, not your wrinkles, not your gray hair, not anything the calendar actually controls. Every single one is a choice you're making without realizing it's a choice at all, and every single one reads as older to a stranger's eye faster than any wrinkle ever could. Think about the last time you actually noticed someone's age from across a room before you were close enough to see a single line on their face. It wasn't the face that told you. It was the shape of them, how they carried themselves, what was hanging off their shoulder, how their feet moved across the floor. Age gets read as posture and proportion long before it ever gets read as skin. This video is specifically for petite women over 60 in the United States because a few of these 6 habits hit a smaller frame harder than they hit anyone else. The exact same bag, the exact same shoe, doing more visible damage to someone 5'2" than someone 5'7". We're counting down 6 of them today. What you're carrying, what's sitting low on your nose, how your body is actually positioned when you walk into a room, what's on your feet before your outfit even gets considered, and the habit sitting underneath all of it, the one quietly running the whole show. By the time we reach number 1, you'll understand exactly why fixing the first 5 without touching that last one barely moves the needle at all. That one's a mindset, not a purchase, and it's the reason 2 women can own the exact same bag, the exact same shoes, and only one of them reads as tired. Stick around because that one changes how you get dressed for the rest of your life, not just today. Let's start with the thing you're probably holding in your hand right now. Number 6, the oversized practical bag. Look at the bag on your shoulder right now, or the one sitting by your door waiting for tomorrow. Most women over 60 carry more than they need in a bag built to hold it, and never once check what that bag actually looks like against their own frame. The logic feels sound. More pockets, more room, more prepared for whatever the day throws at you. Here's what that logic misses. A bag scaled for an average woman's frame, worn on a 5'2" body, doesn't read as practical from across a room. It reads as oversized, and oversized reads as something carrying you instead of the other way around. There's a second version of this that's even more common. A bag with a long strap, worn crossbody or slung low on the hip, adds visual bulk exactly at the point where your torso and leg line meet, the same spot we'd never want a bad hemline landing, and yet nobody thinks twice about a bag doing the identical damage. The fix isn't downgrading to something impractical, it's checking scale the same way you'd check a jacket. Hold the bag against your torso before you buy it. If it extends past your natural waist on either side or hangs low enough to interrupt your hip line, it's working against your proportions regardless of how many compartments it has. A structured bag that sits at or above your hip with a shorter strap or a top handle instead of a long crossbody strap does the same job without adding that horizontal interruption to your silhouette. If you genuinely need to carry more than a small bag holds, a structured tote with a shorter handle, worn in the hand or crooked at the elbow rather than slung across the body, keeps the visual weight up near your torso instead of dragging it down toward your hip. Get the scale right here, and something interesting happens. The next mistake becomes almost impossible to miss because it's dangling from the same general area. Number 5. Reading glasses worn low all day on a chain. Reading glasses on a chain worn constantly, sitting halfway down the nose whether you're actually reading anything or not. Nobody's arguing you don't need them. The chain solves a real problem. Losing your glasses 15 times a day gets old fast. But there's a difference between needing readers and wearing the entire apparatus, chain included, as a permanent fixture on your face and chest. Here's the visual mechanism nobody explains. Glasses worn low. rather than pushed up when you're not actively reading. Break the clean line of your face and constantly draw the eye downward, toward your chin and neck, instead of toward your eyes. And a chain resting across your chest adds a second horizontal line right at the point where a hard line does the most damage to a petite frame, the same zone we just talked about with an oversized bag. Two of the same mistake stacked on top of each other, both pulling the eye down and both adding width exactly where you don't want it. The fix isn't giving up the chain, it's being deliberate about when the glasses actually sit on your face. Reading something specific? Push them up your nose, use them, done. Talking to someone, walking through a store, standing in a photo, glasses come off the nose entirely and rest against your chest on the chain, or better, on top of your head. There's also a chain detail worth knowing. A thin, simple chain in a metal that matches your jewelry disappears into your outfit instead of announcing itself as medical equipment. A thick, obvious reading glasses chain does the opposite. It's the first thing a stranger's eye catches before anything else about you. Some women solve this entirely by switching to a small crossbody phone case or a pocket for the glasses instead of a chain at all, especially with an outfit that already has enough going on near the neckline. We've covered what's hanging off you in 2 different places now. The next one has nothing hanging at all, and it might be the hardest habit on this entire list to actually notice in yourself. Number 4. The one-sided slouch. Stand sideways in front of a mirror right now and actually look rather than glancing. Are your shoulders sitting directly over your hips, or has one shoulder quietly dropped and rolled forward the way it does when the same heavy bag lives on the same shoulder every single day for years? This one sneaks up gradually enough that most women never catch it happening. It's not a sudden slouch. It's a slow, one-sided lean that becomes the new normal, so gradually you stop noticing it's there at all until a photo catches it, and suddenly you're staring at a posture that looks nothing like how straight you feel standing there. Here's why this matters more on a petite frame than almost anywhere else on this list. Height is largely a visual impression, not a fixed number, and a rounded, uneven posture eats directly into that impression. 2 women of the identical height can read as noticeably different heights across a room purely based on how upright one of them is standing. The fix has 2 parts, and neither one requires a chiropractor. First, alternate which shoulder carries your bag every single day, deliberately, until it becomes automatic rather than something you have to remember. Second, run a simple check before you leave the house. Stand against a wall, shoulders and the back of your head touching it, and notice what that actually feels like. Most women are shocked at how far forward their normal standing position has drifted from that. This isn't about standing like you're at attention all day. It's about knowing what straight actually feels like, so you can find your way back to it throughout the day instead of drifting further from it without realizing. Set a reminder on your phone if you have to, once or twice a day, just to check in with your own shoulders the way you'd check a text message. 3 details in, and every one so far has been something you could fix by tomorrow morning. The next one takes slightly longer, but it might matter more than all 3 combined. Number 3. Shoes chosen for comfort alone. Look down at your feet, not at the outfit, just the shoes. Here's a question worth asking honestly. Did you choose those shoes because they genuinely go with what you're wearing, or because they were the ones that didn't hurt? There's nothing wrong with comfort. Comfort matters more with every passing year, and anyone telling you to suffer for style hasn't walked a mile in either sense of the phrase. The mistake isn't choosing comfort. It's choosing comfort as the only variable every single time until an entire shoe collection has quietly become one category, the bulky, orthopedic-leaning, purely functional kind with nothing in between comfort and style even attempted. That single category shoe closet does something specific to a petite frame. A rounded, chunky sole adds visible bulk right at the base of your leg line, the exact opposite of what elongates a shorter frame. It's the same mechanism as a heavy hem or an oversized pocket, just happening at ground level instead of higher up. Here's what almost nobody realizes. Comfortable and structured aren't opposites. A low block heel, a pointed or almond toe flat, a clean loafer with real cushioning built inside rather than bulk piled on the outside. These exist, they're genuinely comfortable for walking, and they don't broadcast, "I gave up on this decision" the second you sit down across from someone. Try this test. Look at your 3 most worn pairs of shoes side by side. If all 3 share the same rounded, chunky silhouette, you haven't been choosing shoes. You've been choosing the same shoe repeatedly in slightly different colors and calling it a decision. You don't need to replace your whole entire shoe collection tomorrow. You need 1 pair, structured and genuinely comfortable, that proves to you these aren't mutually exclusive categories. Try it on in a store, walk the full length of the aisle, not 3 careful steps by the mirror. If it still feels good after that, it earns a permanent spot in the rotation. Here's where things shift. The first 3 details were all things you carry, wear, or stand in. The next one is the habit driving every single one of those choices, and it's the reason fixing details one at a time only gets you so far. Number 2, comfort as the only filter. Here's the pattern connecting the bag, the glasses, the posture, and the shoes, and once you see it, you'll notice it running through nearly every choice in your closet. Comfort became the only filter, not one filter among several, the only one. Somewhere over the years, does this work? Quietly replaced, does this work and does it also look intentional? And the second half of that question stopped getting asked at all. This isn't really about any single item anymore. It's about a default setting that took over your entire wardrobe without an announcement. The elastic waistband, the shapeless cardigan, the bag built for maximum storage, the shoe built for maximum cushioning, none of these are individually bad decisions. Stacked together, worn as a uniform, they stop reading as a woman dressing comfortably and start reading as a woman who stopped dressing on purpose at all. Here's the part that matters most. Nobody makes this switch in one dramatic decision. It happens one small trade at a time, each one completely reasonable in the moment. This blouse is itchy, so it gets replaced with something softer. These shoes hurt after an hour, so they get replaced with something wider. Each individual swap made sense. The cumulative effect, 10 years of individually reasonable swaps, is a wardrobe entirely optimized for comfort and never once checked for intention. The fix isn't reversing every comfortable choice you've made. It's reintroducing the second question you stopped asking. Before something goes in your cart or gets worn out the door, ask not just, "Is this comfortable?" but "Does this look like I meant to wear it?" or "Does this look like I gave up and grabbed the easiest option?" Most of the time, both questions can get a yes. That's the whole point. Comfort and intention were never actually in competition with each other. They just stopped being asked in the same breath on the same morning about the same decision. 5 details down. Every one of them has been a symptom. Here's the actual cause, and it's the one thing that ties all 5 together into a single, repeatable check. Number 1, dressing to disappear instead of on purpose. Go back to that shop window from the very beginning, not the reflection you saw, the moment right before it, when you weren't thinking about how you looked at all. That's the actual number 1 mistake, and it isn't a bag or a shoe or a posture. It's dressing to disappear instead of dressing on purpose. Somewhere along the way, practical quietly became the same word as invisible, and most petite women over 60 never consciously chose that trade. It just accumulated, one comfortable decision at a time, until disappearing became the default setting for an entire wardrobe. Here's the test that actually catches this, and it's different from every check we've done so far because it's not about a single item at all. Before you leave the house, ask yourself one honest question. Did I get dressed today, or did I just get covered? Getting dressed means every piece was a choice. The bags scaled to your frame, the glasses worn deliberately, the shoulders pulled back, the shoe that's structured and comfortable at once. Getting covered means everything was selected purely to avoid discomfort or effort, with zero consideration for whether it actually represents you. Both can look similar from a distance. They rid completely differently up close, and they rid even more differently in how you carry yourself once you're wearing them. A woman who got dressed on purpose stands differently than a woman who just got covered, even in identical clothes. This is why fixing the bag alone, or the shoes alone, only moves the needle so far. Those were never the real problem. They were symptoms of a decision made months or years ago to stop asking whether an outfit represented you and start only asking whether it was easy. The shift back is smaller than it sounds. It's not a new wardrobe. It's one extra question asked every single morning before anything else gets decided. Ask it enough mornings in a row and it stops being a question at all. It becomes the way you get dressed, the same way avoiding it quietly became the way you got dressed for however many years it took to build the habit in the first place. Bonus, front-loading the decision. One more thing worth knowing before we wrap up entirely, because the countdown is finished, but there's a piece almost nobody covers alongside it. Getting dressed on purpose doesn't have to mean more time. It means front-loading the decisions instead of making them exhausted at 7 in the morning. Pick 2 or 3 complete outfits on a Sunday, bag and shoes included, when you actually have the energy to ask that second question. Then on the mornings you're rushed, you're genuinely choosing between options you already vetted, not defaulting to whatever's easiest to grab in the moment. That's the actual difference between a wardrobe full of comfortable pieces and a wardrobe that reads as intentional even on your most tired days. Conclusion. Go back to that shop window one more time. Same reflection, same you, same day, if you want. Only now you know what you're actually looking at, not your age, not something the calendar decided, a bag scaled wrong for your frame, glasses sitting low out of habit instead of purpose, a shoulder that quietly dropped years ago and never got called back, shoes chosen for comfort and nothing else. And underneath all 4, one question that stopped getting asked. None of that is permanent. Every single one of those 5 things can change by the time you leave the house tomorrow, and the 6th one changes the moment you decide to start asking again. That's genuinely the whole shift, not a wardrobe overhaul, just one honest question restored to a morning routine that quietly dropped it years ago. We were never disappearing because of your actual age. You were disappearing because comfort quietly took over every single decision, one reasonable trade at a time, until intention slowly left the room. Which of these 5 have you been doing without ever fully realizing it? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this made you want to check your own reflection differently tomorrow morning, stay close, because next week we're covering the 6 style secrets that do the exact opposite of everything on this list. The ones that make petite women over 60 look 10 years younger without changing a single thing about who they actually are.